Oh, another boring day in the fall garden. I swear I'm so sick of vegetables. If I could grow anything else, that would be amazing. Oh.
I've come from Maine with mushrooms for you.
Oh!
I've got 3 different types of mushrooms for you. We're gonna build a mushroom bed right here, some in a container, some in a raised bed.
Oh.
And you have 3 different flavors here. And I think you're gonna like it. I don't know if you've ever even grown mushrooms in your garden.
Anyone ever tell you the answer to my prayers, Jacques? He showed up right when I needed you. I've not grown them in the garden. I've grown mushrooms in the home quite a bit. So, Jacques actually flipping the script on me. He just got back from this epic trip to Maine where we visited our friends over at North Spore Mushrooms, and they sent him home with some goodies. So we're gonna build out at least a couple different ways to set up mushrooms in your veggie garden.
Let's kick it off with my favorite mushroom to grow in the garden, and that is the wine cap.
I know it's his favorite because you're a pretty mellow guy. I think that's why people love you on the channel, but I saw him, the most excited I've ever seen him is the first time he ever grew wine caps. He texts me, he goes, I'm coming over. I've got a little platter of wine caps. He like hand fed me a wine cap.
You were on the phone talking.
I was on the phone talking to someone and I was like, hey, look, I appreciate the slice, but you know,
well, much.
I've never seen him get as excited about anything else in his life. Okay, so here's the thing, with the mushroom bed, I haven't done it. You've done it at your place. What's my first step?
The first step here is to choose the spot. So with mushrooms, they don't really want to be in full sun.
Okay.
A little bit of shade. Some sun is okay for like the wine cap, but if it gets a lot of sun, you have to water it more. So we want a little bit more shade.
So we're standing in a spot I thought was a good idea. This is, of course, the epic greenhouse. This is north, which means the south-facing exposure is gonna be filtered through a couple layers of glass, and it's also down here. So this is almost never in full sun. If it is, it's like right now where it's almost sunset. So this seems fine, right?
I think this is gonna work fine, especially since it's fall into spring. We should get a great fruiting of mushrooms.
Okay.
So let's do this spot. The first thing you wanna do is clear everything out of the way to get to the soil, especially with mulches, because those mulches could have some sort of fungal growth in them already, and we don't want this to compete with anything else. So mushrooms aren't plants, but they actually need a lot of the same things that plants and people do.
Yeah.
They need water, they need a little bit of light, and they need some amount of oxygen. So I think first thing we should do, spray a little water down, and then start building this bed layer by layer.
Almost like a lasagna style bed.
Exactly. Mushrooms need something to eat in order to grow. So that is one of the other requirements. For their food substance, we're actually going with straw. Straw works with essentially any mushroom out there. You could always go with straw. The only downside to straw is that your mushroom bed won't last as long. It'll food faster, but it won't live for as long.
Because they're gonna break the material
That are gonna chew right through it, and that's totally fine. But in order to make this bed last longer, I also have a barrel full of wood chips here. This is Douglas fir, which is technically a softwood, but for mushrooms, it actually works with a lot of different species. If you don't have this, you really want hardwoods, things like red oak, red maple, box elder. Those are the kind of woods that work really well. But Douglas fir, very, very successful wood. I've used it in the past just fine.
So am I going in with the straw first or the chips first?
I actually like to go with the chips first to make a nice solid foundation, and then the straw. And I'll show you why in a second.
Okay, sure.
Every time we put a layer down, we're going to get it wet. That's just to ensure that there's water throughout this whole system. So I'm gonna go ahead and start spraying these once you're happy.
I feel good. There's always time to touch it up later. Go for it.
All right.
So now straw after this, yeah?
Straw's next.
Is it what, like an inch each layer?
Yeah, you could even go a little thicker on the straw if you want. Right there. So yeah, give that a nice spread. You don't have to use pre-chopped straw like this. You could use straw from a bale, but this actually works better because there's less air pockets, which means that it's not going to be like mycelium trying to run through air to grow somewhere else.
Yep.
So I would prefer to use chopped straw, but whole straw will work.
Of course, it's, you know, it's more expensive.
Yeah, that's the downside.
You can get some pretty cheap hay.
Yep.
Or straw. I guess you could really even use hay in this case.
Even hay isn't considered that good because it might have seed heads, which could harbor like some sort of growth in it.
Yeah.
Straw is best. The next ingredient is the spawn, and we're going to do 2 layers of spawn.
Okay.
So the reason why we put the wood chips first and then the straw is because the straw is going to colonize faster. So I'd rather put the spawn directly on the straw instead of the wood chips first.
Okay.
So basically what you're going to do is just get in there, break it up into chunks. Like you could rip a chunk right out right now.
I'll do it.
And show everyone. You can see all the white threads through. That is the mycelium. So that is the actual mushroom growing through this material already. think of it as like a cutting. It's like we're spreading a bunch of cuttings throughout the straw here.
Yeah.
In order for them to now take over.
It looks, I've really,
The smell is interesting.
smells interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
hit that.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Ooh, that's kind of malty. So you can do like chunks.
Yeah.
But I like to crumble it a little bit.
Full crumble.
Like that.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of coherent chunks, but not like, a big brick like that.
Because, it's almost like anti-composting, where you're trying to get the chunks small enough so it spreads, not so it breaks down.
And if you have a couple big chunks, that's also good because that'll form like a for sure site of where they're going to start spreading.
Well, that's kind of interesting. You could put like little pockets, like
Yeah,
1,
like
2, 3, 4 bigger pockets. Yes. So are we doing half the bag now?
Yeah, let's do half the bag.
Yeah.
There's like 100 different ways to do this. This is how I've done it. It's always worked for me.
You've had
It's
some
got
success.
Delicious mushrooms.
Yeah.
And once that's in, we're going to start the whole process again with wood chips next.
So the bed is complete and it's shockingly easy. It's really just 3 layers: wood, straw, spawn, wood, straw, spawn, and then we finish it off with a little cherry of the Douglas fir chips on top. But now we have all the mulch that we moved away, which, tell me if I'm right, this is more or less the same material. There's some soil in there and stuff, but why would I not just surround the whole bed with it and maybe it just spreads everywhere?
You totally should.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
You know what? Funny thing. You know what the name of this mushroom is? It has a little side action name.
Oh, it has a nickname?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
It's king of the garden because it is perfect for the garden because it will actually spread through your pathways, feed you mushrooms. It's pretty fun. It's I gotta say.
You think about it, what it's doing is it's giving you the mushrooms, but it's breaking down the harder materials like the chips. And so you put fresh chips down, and we do that. We think about the back to Eden method, etc. You do that because you want to protect the soil and build that over time, but the mycelial growth would speed that up, especially when you're doing it with something that's designed for it, instead of just whatever's native in your area. It's
This will basically turn into compost next year.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
And we get to eat it.
And the other thing you could do that makes it a little bit interesting is that you could just keep adding wood chips and straw every time it fruits.
Yeah.
And you could keep this bed going for years.
That long?
Yeah.
Really?
Like it'll live for as long as it has food to eat.
You know what this makes me think of then is, couldn't you create a structure then?
Yeah.
Almost like a compost heap, and you just keep adding to it and you just keep harvesting off.
Sure.
Oh, and then you know how sometimes the mushrooms will pin out from like a bucket or something like that?
Yeah.
What if you had a big old trench, or not a trench, but like a trough, and you drilled a ton of holes in the trough? That'd be interesting.
I'd be interested to try that actually. Maybe we'll do some wacky mushroom experiments later. But this is basically the one I would recommend for anyone. It's the easiest mushroom bed I think you could grow. Success is high.
This took 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe to go.
And you should have like mushrooms in 2 months, 4 months, at the most 6. It's really just depends on like climate. But yeah, mushroom bed 1.
Mushroom bed 1.
Done.
But if you don't have the space, like I didn't in the past, we're gonna show you one with a container.
We're sitting back, we're relaxing because this method is easy. And you could do it anywhere, you don't need space. Any container is fine. I'm actually gonna sit back and watch you do the work here.
I'm here to serve, Jock. I'm here to serve.
So you could do this in buckets, you could do it in grow bags, which is what we're gonna do today. So we've got a couple 5-gallon grow bags, and for this one, we're just using straw.
That's it, because we're growing the pink oyster.
Pink oyster. The pink oysters, or any oysters in general, they just grow really fast. They're very vigorous mushrooms, and I think the pink oyster is actually even tropical. So this one does not like the cold, so not great for colder climates in the winter, but in spring, perfect for anyone else. But for us, we're not worried about it. So all we're doing is we're taking the straw, we're gonna get it wet. I'll help you with that, I guess. I'll do one thing. So you added a layer of straw already.
This is sawdust spawn for sure.
Oh yeah. How's that one smell? Different?
Not quite as good.
It's not as good. I like the smell.
It's not bad.
No, it's not bad. But the wine cap had like a savory umaminess to it.
Yeah, it's.
I guess I had a wine.
Still thinking of that. I'm still thinking of that. So we're crumbling in.
Yep.
So I'm probably gonna do like,
as many layers as you want.
I guess an inch, an inch, an inch, an inch.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm packing this in because when I get, I mean, to be honest, you could cut holes in this and this would grow. So we're just basically multiplying it.
Yeah.
We're taking 1, turning it into 3. Actually, I would say if you were comfortable with this going a little slower, Jacques, you could probably turn this 1 bag of spawn into like 10 buckets.
I think so.
At least.
Yeah.
It would just grow, it would just go a little slower.
You'd get more mushrooms.
You would definitely get more mushrooms.
This is probably, I guess, in that sense, one of the most efficient ways to use the spawn.
Yeah.
You don't even have to layer it as aggressively as we're doing it.
Well, a lot of people put it in like bags,
Yeah.
hang them vertically and just slice little cuts in them.
And then,
That's all they do, right?
yeah, because basically the mushrooms are looking for oxygen. And once they find that air or oxygen, that's where they're going to send out their fruiting bodies.
It's why they're closer to animals than plants, really.
Yeah, that's where honestly, it's one of those funny misconceptions is that I think everyone assumes that mushrooms always want dark because we think they grow in caves and stuff on forest floors. But actually they need a little bit of light, and they actually do need oxygen in order to form a proper mushroom.
Or at least the fruiting body, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's the weird part is that what you think of as the mushroom, most of it really is this.
Yeah.
Most of it's really this.
It's underground, you're not seeing it at all.
You never see it.
It could go for miles. So a couple options here is we could just leave the bag and they'll fruit up out the top.
Yeah.
Because that's their only option.
Yeah.
Or we could also cut holes into the grow bags and let them start popping out the sides. Maybe we try one.
Try one the other, yeah. Yeah, let's try it. So where are we putting these?
These ones we're gonna put somewhere semi-shaded. So maybe like off by the shed.
Okay, sounds good.
Got blue oyster mushrooms here for our last bed. And this one, I'm gonna call this the YOLO method because it should work.
YOLO?
It does work.
The YOLO
The YOLO method.
I thought you were gonna call it Don't Fear the Reaper because Blue Oyster Cult. You know?
Hey,
Come on.
Deep cut. So we're gonna just literally do this in a raised bed. It doesn't matter if there's plants, and you'll see exactly how it goes.
Let's do it. We're putting straw down first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Do that.
he's already figured it out. This is how easy it is to grow mushrooms at home.
Well, this
literally don't need much.
Well, this is so funny because I would consider this a throwaway bed in the front yard. This particular bed does not have a lot going for it. Everything else is popping.
Right.
This bed's like, we put some flowers in it, whatever, you know? So what we can do is, I would mulch my bed anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe with straw.
Totally.
Right? So
here's the thing is, it doesn't matter. Mushrooms can go with plants. They could go without plants. It's all good. And the cool thing is that these mushrooms will now help break down the straw, feed the plants. They could also even eat and trap nematodes that are in your soil. It's kind of weird, but mushrooms are carnivorous. They could literally eat other insects and pests. So this might actually supercharge this bed in the end.
this might be the best bed in the garden.
So blue oysters, very delicious.
I've never eaten
in the pink. Okay.
I've never had a blue.
I think I honestly feel like they're like the common one, or maybe Italian's the common one.
Maybe just white is the common one, right?
Yeah, I guess we don't know what the common one is what the takeaway is here. So I'm gonna go on with dry straw. We'll water it at the end. It's no big deal. You don't have to water every layer, but in San Diego it's kind of dry, so I prefer to.
I guess now though, if we're putting the spawn on a bed with like irrigation, we would have to come out and water ever so often by hand, right?
Yeah, maybe. That's probably a good idea. I would definitely check on it at the very least, because the irrigation's really underneath the actual straw.
Well, we should be getting some rain here, so
Yeah.
it probably will sustain.
That's true.
At least if we give it enough.
Yeah, straw's very good at holding on to water, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal, honestly.
Man, if this
This
like,
would be really cool.
yeah, I was gonna say, if this works out,
I'm calling it YOLO because there's more chance for things to go wrong in this method, because
you only live once.
you only
YOLO.
live once. And that's why it works.
The question is, should we just throw some of this in random beds?
Actually, let's do that. Because once the block is done, you could bury a whole chunk like this. I'm gonna do it right in here.
Yeah.
And what will happen is that the mushrooms will just emerge right out of that block.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So let's do it. So now that you've done this, did you know that mushrooms were this easy to grow?
I mean, I knew it from a kit perspective, but I always got slightly intimidated by building them outdoors for some reason. I don't know why. It's just like one of those things.
I agree.
It was pretty simple and it was pretty fun, to be honest, and I'm very curious what's gonna come up. And if you guys are interested in kind of joining along with us this coming season, we just partnered up with North Spore to put a bunch of the kits. All the ones you saw in today's video are on our store now, as well as some other goodies as well. Let us know what you think's gonna happen. I'm very excited for a little mushroom cooking episode in the future.
Big time.
We'll see. Jacques' favorite 3 words in the world. Good luck in the garden, guys, and keep on growing.